What makes someone believe they own the world around them, even the quiet moments of a stranger's life? In the sleepy suburb of Willow Creek, where picket fences and manicured lawns whispered of order, a storm was brewing. It wasn't the kind that darkened the skies, but one born of pride, misunderstanding, and a single act of defiance that would unravel lives. At the heart of it was Karen Mitchell, a woman whose name had become synonymous with control in her cul-de-sac. Karen, with her sharp bob and sharper tongue, was the self-appointed guardian of neighborhood standards. She patrolled the streets like a hawk, her phone always ready to document infractions: a misplaced trash can, an unmowed lawn, or, in this case, a man daring to sit on his own porch. Across the street lived James Carter, a retired Marine veteran whose weathered face told stories his lips rarely shared. At 62, James had survived 2 tours in Afghanistan, shrapnel scars crisscrossing his left arm like a map of sacrifice. His porch was his sanctuary, a place where he'd sip coffee, watch the sunrise, and let the ghosts of his past settle quietly. His modest home, with its peeling paint and overgrown garden, was a sore spot for Karen. She'd left notes, sent emails, even called the HOA to complain about the eyesore. But James, stubborn and proud, ignored her. He wasn't here to impress. He was here to live. It started on a crisp October morning. James, in his faded flannel, settled into his wicker chair with a mug of black coffee. The air was thick with the scent of fallen leaves, and for a moment, the world felt still. Then came Karen, striding across the street, her heels clicking like a metronome. She clutched a clipboard, her eyes narrowed. "Mr. Carter," she began, voice dripping with condescension. "This porch situation is unacceptable. It's a public nuisance. The HOA rules clearly state." James cut her off, his voice low but firm. "It's my porch, Karen. I fought for this country. I'll sit where I damn well please." Her face flushed. "You don't get to decide what's acceptable here. I'm filing a formal complaint, and I'll make sure you're fined." What Karen didn't know, what no one in Willow Creek knew, was that James wasn't just any veteran. His quiet demeanor hid a resilience forged in fire, and his porch wasn't just a porch. It was where he'd scattered his wife's ashes 2 years prior, a promise kept after her battle with cancer. Every morning, sitting there, he felt her presence. Karen's crusade wasn't just an annoyance. It was an assault on something sacred. The confrontation escalated over weeks. Karen posted videos online, framing James as a negligent homeowner, a blight on the neighborhood's charm. Her ex-posts went viral, painting him as the villain in her curated narrative. "Veteran or not, rules are rules," she wrote, garnering likes from strangers who'd never met James. The comments were brutal: "Lazy old man. Tear that house down." But Karen didn't stop at social media. She called the police, claiming James's porch was unsafe and encroaching on public space. When the officers arrived, they found no violation, just an old man sipping coffee, staring at them with tired eyes. Still, Karen persisted, filing a lawsuit through the HOA demanding James be barred from his porch until the aesthetic violations were fixed. Enter Mia Torres, a young journalist who stumbled across Karen's viral posts while scrolling X. Mia, new to Willow Creek and hungry for a story, sensed there was more to this than Karen's polished outrage. She knocked on James's door one evening, her notepad in hand, her dark eyes bright with curiosity. "Mr. Carter, I'm Mia. I saw the posts. Can you tell me your side?" James hesitated, then invited her in. Over tea, he shared his story, not just the porch, but the war, the loss, the ashes. Mia's heart sank. This wasn't about a porch. It was about a man's right to grieve. She asked to see the HOA rules. James handed her a dusty binder, and Mia's jaw dropped. The rules Karen cited? They didn't exist. Karen had fabricated the violation, twisting vague clauses to suit her agenda. Mia's article hit the local paper like a thunderbolt. "Neighborhood tyrant targets veteran over porch." She detailed Karen's campaign, James's history, and the non-existent rule. The twist? Mia uncovered that Karen wasn't even an HOA board member. She'd been voted out a year earlier for bullying tactics, but kept acting like she held power. The revelation turned the tide. Ex-users who cheered Karen now turned on her, flooding her posts with demands for accountability. Karen's world unraveled. The lawsuit backfired when James, backed by Mia's research, countersued for harassment. The court was merciless. Karen's lies, her public shaming of a veteran, and her abuse of authority painted a damning picture. The judge, a veteran himself, sentenced her to 45 days in jail for filing a false report and ordered community service cleaning every porch in Willow Creek, starting with James's. The public shaming was worse. Her face was plastered across local news, her name a punchline. Neighbors who once nodded at her now turned away. But the story didn't end with Karen's fall. Mia, digging deeper, discovered another layer. Karen's obsession with control stemmed from her own loss. Her husband had left her 5 years earlier, and her need to dictate her surroundings was her way of clawing back stability. Mia visited Karen in jail not to gloat, but to understand. Karen, stripped of her bravado, broke down. "I just wanted things to be perfect," she whispered. "I didn't know about his wife." Mia's second article was softer, humanizing Karen without excusing her. It sparked debates in Willow Creek about forgiveness, grief, and the cost of judgment. Some rallied for Karen's redemption. Others demanded she leave town. James, though, stayed quiet. He didn't gloat or forgive. He just sat on his porch, coffee in hand, staring at the horizon. The final twist came on a cold November evening. Mia, now a friend, stopped by James's house with a small potted plantacaran flower, its delicate white petals a stark contrast to the storm it had inspired. "For your porch," she said. James smiled, the first real smile in months, and placed it where his wife's ashes had been scattered. But the heart-wrenching truth lingered. James wasn't healing. The fight with Karen, the public spectacle, had reopened wounds he'd spent years burying. One morning, neighbors noticed his porch was empty. His coffee mug sat cold on the table. James had suffered a heart attack in the night, alone. The coroner said it was stress, compounded by years of carrying too much. Willow Creek mourned. Karen, released from jail, attended the memorial, her face gaunt with guilt. She placed a Karen flower beside James's chair, a silent apology no one would hear. The neighborhood, once divided, stood together in grief, but the lesson was bitter. Righteousness can destroy as much as it defends. Mia wrote one final piece, titled "The Porch That Broke Us." It wasn't about victory or villainy, but about the fragility of human hearts. James's, Karen's, and even her own. The Karen flower bloomed on, a symbol of beauty born from pain, but it couldn't erase the cost.